10 meaningful life stories you should hear. Story number 1. The Carpenter and His Last House. Detailed story. The carpenter had worked for a construction company for several decades. Throughout his life, he built many solid and beautiful houses. When he decided to retire, he thought he could finally relax. However, before he left the company, the owner asked him to build one last house. Wanting to retire early, he worked hastily, without the same dedication he once had for each detail. He chose cheap materials and no longer carefully inspected every detail. Finally, the house was completed, but it didn't look as beautiful or sturdy as the other houses he had built. Unexpectedly, the owner handed him the key to the house and said it was a gift for his retirement. The carpenter was stunned and felt deep regret. He wished he had worked more diligently on this last house. Lesson learned. Life is like the house each person builds day by day. Every small thing you do contributes to the house of your future. Live and work with dedication so you don't have to regret the things you once did hastily. Story number 2. The Wildflower and the Storm. Detailed story. In a large garden, a powerful storm struck, causing trees to break and fall. The tall, sturdy trees that stood firm on ordinary days could not withstand the fierce storm and were uprooted. However, in that same garden, there was a small wildflower close to the ground. As the storm came, the flower didn't stand tall to resist, but leaned with the direction of the wind. After the storm, the wildflower remained intact. When people asked how the flower survived the storm, the flower replied, "I know I'm fragile. So when facing hardship, I chose not to confront it directly, but instead adapted to the wind." Lesson learned. Life will always have unexpected challenges. In those moments, sometimes adaptability is more important than strength. Don't try to fight against things you can't change. Learning to adapt will help you survive and stay strong through life's storms. Story number 3. The Donkey Who Fell into a Well. Detailed story. One day, a farmer's donkey wandered off and accidentally fell into a deep well. The farmer found his donkey crying out for help, but the well was too deep, and he had no way to pull it up. He decided to fill the well, thinking the donkey was old and no longer useful. He began to shovel dirt into the well, with each shovelful landing on the donkey's back. At first, the donkey panicked and cried, but then it thought of a way out. Each time dirt fell on its back, it shook it off and stepped up onto it. Layer by layer, as the dirt kept falling, the donkey kept stepping higher, until finally it managed to climb out of the well. Lesson learned. When facing difficulties, instead of giving up, find a way to use those challenges as stepping stones to move forward. If you can rise from adversity, life will bring you new opportunities for growth. Story number 4. The Rich Man and the Poor Man's View of Life. Detailed story. A wealthy man felt that his son, living in luxury, didn't understand the true value of life. He wanted his son to have a different experience, so he took him to visit a poor farming family. They lived in a small house with few possessions, but their lives were filled with love. During their days there, the boy observed how this family worked together, cared for one another, and smiled despite their hardships. When they returned home, the father asked his son what he had learned. The boy replied that he realized his own family was materially rich, but emotionally poor. He had seen what a truly meaningful family looked like. It wasn't about material wealth, but about a home filled with love and unity. Lesson learned. True wealth isn't just about material possessions, but about having a heart full of love and the ability to share. Genuine happiness comes from sincere relationships, not from money.
Story #5. Chapter 5. The Old Man and the Broken Chair. Detailed story. An old man lived alone in his old house with a chair that had been broken for a long time. Every time he sat down, he felt uncomfortable, but he thought the chair was still usable, so he didn't bother replacing it. Day after day, he endured that discomfort. As he grew weaker with age, he began to feel the effects on his health, and he regretted not replacing the chair sooner. Out of frugality and reluctance to change, he had made his life more difficult. Lesson learned. Don't be afraid to make small changes in life, as they can bring long-term comfort. Sometimes, a little investment in things that can improve your life can help you live happier and more comfortably. Story #6. The Shoes and the Story of Gratitude. Detailed story. A boy from a poor family had no shoes to wear. He looked at other children with beautiful shoes and felt ashamed. One day, while walking down the street, he saw a man with both legs amputated sitting by the roadside. His eyes filled with sadness as he looked into the distance. The boy realized that this man would never be able to walk again. In that moment, he understood that he still had healthy legs and could freely run and play, while some people could not even walk. Lesson learned. Gratitude for what we have is the key to happiness. Don't always focus on what you lack. Cherish what you possess, as it might be someone else's dream. Story #7. The Stop Clock and a Second Chance. Detailed story. An old clock on the wall had stopped working long ago. No one paid attention to it, thinking it no longer had any value. One day, an elderly clockmaker passed by and noticed the clock. He took the time to repair it, oil it, and clean every small part. When the clock began to work again, it came to life and caught everyone's attention. People were amazed by the beauty and value of the old clock. Lesson learned. Never abandon or underestimate yourself or others. Everyone has their own unique value, and with just one chance, they can shine and become meaningful. Story #8. The Two Friends and the Locked Door. Detailed story. Two close friends were traveling and stumbled upon a small, rustic house with a locked door. One of them thought there was probably nothing inside and wanted to leave, but the other friend patiently tried to unlock it. Eventually, the door opened, revealing an ancient treasure inside. The first friend regretted giving up too soon. Lesson learned. Patience is the key that opens many doors in life. Sometimes, just a little extra effort can lead to valuable opportunities. Story #9. The Story of the Stone Blocking the Road. Detailed story. A king wanted to test his people's character, so he placed a large stone in the middle of a road. Many people passed by, saw the stone blocking their way, complained, and then left without moving it. Finally, a poor farmer came along and made an effort to roll the stone out of the way. Underneath, he found a bag of gold and a note from the king stating that the reward was for those with the spirit to overcome obstacles. Lesson learned. The challenges in life are tests that help us grow. Don't shy away from facing them, for behind difficulties, there may be worthy rewards. Story #9. Unity is Strength. Detailed story. A father had 3 children who often quarreled. He gave each of them a single chopstick and asked them to break it, which they did easily. Then he tied the 3 chopsticks together and asked them to break the bundle, but none of them could. He explained that when they stand united, nothing can defeat them. Lesson learned. The strength of unity is immense. When people work together, they become stronger and can overcome any difficulty. I hope these expanded stories inspire and provide valuable life lessons for you.